some of you Mardi Gras goers who like doing the parades and all those Mardi Gras events and activities around the city and all over Louisiana. I know most of you in the room, and most of you know each other, but there are a few faces that some of you may not be familiar with. So I would just like to ask for each of you just to give us your name and if you're in other organizations or you have a certain title or position that you want us to acknowledge, you can say that for us.
I'm member of both LPA and citizen and mother formerly.
I'm Clarice Gallegos. I am a member of both LPA, Lady Downs, Blue Acadiana, Indivisible, and run president of Focus Clubhouse, which is a nonprofit to assist adults living with mental illness. Opening soon in the Acadiana area somewhere.
Thank you, Ms. Clarice.
Matthew Isaac, concerned citizen and a member of a few different progressive organizations around.
My name is Bo. I'm a member of VOTE, and I'm formerly incarcerated.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm Michael. I'm at the Latin Public Defender's Office.
Michael. That's our high school junior. Gotta catch them young.
I'm Darren Carter. I'm a Fort White Sonoma.
Thank you, Darren. And like I said, welcome to all of you for taking the time to come out. For those of you who may not know, we have Consuela Gaines, the community organizer of the Lafayette chapter of Folks, Voice of the Experience. I'm a formerly incarcerated person. I served 22 years, been home 2 years, and working for Vote almost the full 2 years, but have just come on full-time with Vote. And this is my beautiful co-worker, Ms. Kelly Garrett. She's our policy counsel. And of course, she'll tell you more about all what she does. Kelly?
So being that we have such a few people here, I want to introduce a course with you guys. Next on the agenda is the lunch and learn. You guys should have received or picked up a flyer for our lunch and learn that we are hosting on Friday, March 1st. So Friday, March 1st signifies the beginning of Act 636. Many of you are aware, Vote was behind getting Act 636 signed by the governor that allows felons to actually register to vote as long as they have not been incarcerated within the past 5 years. That number ranges between 36,000 and 43,000 depending on who you ask. So that's a huge amount of people in the state of Louisiana that are now eligible to regain their voting rights. Many of you know if you've been convicted of a felony, you lose your privilege to vote. This will reinstate those rights as long as you have not been incarcerated within the past 5 years. Yes, sir.
So when you say incarcerated, when is the end of that? If someone's on like probation or parole afterwards, is it the end of your like parole term?
No.
Oh, it's the end of your actual
The
physical
law
incarceration.
changes, so in the past, before Act 636, or currently, the way it is as it stands now, is if you are completely off of supervision, you've completed your parole and probation obligations, then you would regain your rights to vote. Many people, however, have lifetime paroles and are on probation for an exorbitant amount of time. So this law now allows those that are currently on probation or parole, that's my things that are falling down, sign up. But as long as you have not, if you're on paper, probation or parole, and you have not been incarcerated in the past 5 years, you are now eligible to regain your voting rights back. Sorry for that clarification. Yes. So that's the big change, and that consists of about 36 to 43,000 people here in the state of Louisiana. So March 1st, that act actually goes into effect. And if you go to the Secretary of State's website, none of the language has been updated updated, but we have been assured that come March 1st, it will be, and that parole and probation officers will be aware of those individuals that are currently, that fall under Act 636. So to celebrate that new law, we are going to have a lunch and learn. We're also having events across the state, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport, where we are going to celebrate this new act and actually identify persons that this act does affect and help them go through the process of registering. So obviously our goal is to register as many people as we can between now and the October elections, because that's a huge amount of people that can affect some elections. And so we invite you guys to come out to our lunch and learn. We will have food there. We will have representatives there, supporters of this actual bill. We'll be speaking at this event. We do have press releases that have been out, so we hope that we'll get some media coverage there as well. And we hope that we actually get individuals that this act does apply to at our lunch and learn, so that we can inform them on how the process goes, because there is somewhat of a multi-step process to how to go about and gaining your rights back. Nothing in the state is easy, as you all know. So please come out, share the flyer to as many people as you know. If you know somebody that you feel that this does affect, have them come out, because there will be lots of questions, especially with those that have never had voting rights before. They just can't go to the registrar's office and register. So we'll explain the process. We'll have samples of what they should be receiving from their probation and parole officers, and how to go about registering to vote. Questions? Okay. Also, in preparation for this lunch and learn, and just to inform those particular individuals and family members of those individuals that do fall under Act 636, we are doing a phone bank where we have identified persons in the area, in the Lafayette area, that either are directly affected by Act 636 or are family members of individuals that are directly affected with Act 636. And we're basically calling them, if anybody, some of you have actually done phone banks with UJC, it's the same process. We have a script, we have phone numbers, we have names. All you need is a computer and a phone, and we'll hook you up with the code, and you have a script, and you'll just make phone calls, basically just letting them know about March 1st and the event that we have, and the fact that they can actually register to vote beginning then.
Is this going to be at your all's office, or
Yes.
is it going to be done from our homes?
Well, we'd like for you to come to the office initially so that we can show you the process.
Where's the office?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we do have a new office. It's 110 Travis Street in the Travis Technology Center on the corner of Pinhook and Travis. So it's not far, it's in the Hall Center. Actually, we're going to be having our next meetings there moving forward, so you guys will be able to come in and check out the office. But yes, we would like for you to come by the office just so we can show you the process, get you the code, and then you can go off and just make these phone calls on your own, how you choose fit.
That's also where the lunch is too.
Yes, the lunch and learn, it will be at our new office. We actually have conference rooms that are to our use with kitchens and things, so we'll be able to utilize that for our lunch and learn. So if you'd like to volunteer, just get with Consuelo or I, and we will definitely set you up with how to go about doing that.
Yeah. Kind of would like, we know everybody have different schedules, so whatever times work best for you, what days and times would be best for you. I'll make sure that I'm in the office, if it's like after 5 or whatever. If you just want to work a couple of hours, or you're just able to work an hour, I'll just try to make sure, that I'm there for you to be able to have somebody and accommodate you guys when you start your phone bank.
So if I were telling somebody else about this, would I just say, okay, in the coming work week, could you get with one of these 2 people and set up a time, in the Oil Center office? I'd really like you to help out in the phone bank.
Oh, you mean like volunteer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking specifically of people from NAACP that are on my little political action committee for whom this is like one of our missions.
Right.
And I want them to do this.
Right.
I'll be going home this afternoon and saying, okay, I want you guys to do this.
And so if you haven't already liked us on Facebook, we haven't gotten into the Instagram or Twitter yet for our younger volunteers. But we're getting there. But we do have a Vote Lafayette chapter Facebook page where we have all these events. And we have, we just made a post that said volunteers needed. So definitely, have them reach out to us via, one of us or email.
But this would be starting like this work week, right? Like Monday,
Yeah. Or have them, we're usually there if we're not, out grabbing something to eat. We're usually there from, 9 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just direct them to one of us. Anybody have any questions about the phone banking?
What time frame, not time, daytime, but the length of time, like starting next week for how long are you going to do phone banking?
Probably right up until.
If we can actually do phone banking, I actually started last week. So, I made probably about 30 calls yesterday actually. So it's the same system like Van. So it's a lot of them are disconnected numbers, but it's good to kind of clean up the system so that it helps anybody else that's using Van. But we've actually started, as a matter of fact, I have my computer here now, so if anybody wants to get the code or actually see the script, we can actually do it after the meeting and you guys can set up and we'd be good to go.
Do you have a target deadline?
Well, we're telling them about the event on Friday, so obviously we want to cut it off maybe Thursday evening or something like that for those, between now and Thursday. Because we want to tell them about the event, the Lunch and Learn on Friday.
We're phone banking to announce the
Lunch and Learn.
The lunch and learn.
Yes.
Okay. I thought we were phone banking.
And membership,
and
well, that too. All of that is in the script, and I'm sure we'll get another script after
You
the
mean
Friday's event.
the people that we're phoning are people that are affected by the legislation.
Yes,
Okay.
from what I have experienced, and the way the script is written out, these are direct individuals who have been affected by this, meaning that they have been on parole or probation, are on parole or probation, but they're in the ban system, so we know that they're registered voters, so, that kind of makes sense. But like I said, a lot of the numbers have been disconnected.
Wait, how can they be registered voters?
Well, if you're in the ban system, if you're the voter
I thought
access,
these were people that couldn't vote previously but now can vote.
I'm sorry?
I thought these were previously people that couldn't vote but now can vote.
Well, they're in the ban system, so they must have lost their privilege when they got arrested, so.
So their registration's old.
Right,
Okay.
right. Because they're in the ban system, so we're pulling them up from ban.
Okay.
You got a question?
I have a statement mainly from the conviction. The court sends a statement to the Secretary of State removing your electoral, or removing you out of the books. You're still in the system, but they're telling you that you're no longer allowed to vote upon your conviction. The court sends it out.
It's kind of like a pitch on the hit list, like, it just removes you from voting. Because when I first came home, a friend of mine was like, come on, let's see what they say. So I went and tried to register and got the card back. At first it said yes, and then they sent the card back saying, no, you have a conviction, and they give you that 21-day period to try to provide proof that I'm finished with that conviction, finished serving that sentence. Of course, I'm not. So, and that's also like going to be part of that process. Even though that person registered, they'll still get that notification saying, that their name is on the list, saying they were convicted, for them to show their proof that they're finished with that particular sentence and released from supervision. And that's where the Office of Probation and Parole comes in and says, this person has been out of prison or jail for 5 years, which means they qualify, or this person is no longer under the supervision of the state of Louisiana, saying they're totally released from supervision, which is probation and parole.
So even under Act 636, you have 3 more years before you can vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure in my old head that
Yes.
I got.
That was a compromise. Obviously, the initial bill was immediately after you've been released. You now have your voting rights, but it was a compromise that was put forth that was the only way this bill could actually pass was if there was this 5-year stipulation, but we vote and a lot of other organizations are really trying to go back and remove the stipulation because once you've done your time, you've done your time, you know? I mean, that was the original intent, but the way legislation works, there's always a compromise in order to get something passed. Yeah. So, you know, and actually, you know, that compromise makes it a lot more difficult for those that are responsible for facilitating this act. Because now you have the Department of Corrections, you have the Secretary of State, and you have the registrar's offices are 3 totally different entities that now have to figure out or have figured out a way that is conducive so that they are all aware of how the process works. You would think it was as easy as it is to deny somebody the right to vote, that it would be just a simple check and you press enter to regain their voting rights, but they're trying to make it a lot more difficult than what it really should be, so.
Probably because they don't want them to have it in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, because you're looking at close to 43,000 people, so, yeah.
Exactly.
They're all up for re-election, so they're all concerned about, you know, the upcoming fall elections and who's gonna vote them out and blah, blah, blah. So we've actually had some pushback with the Secretary of State with how this process was gonna roll out. They're doing a bare minimum with making information available for individuals to actually know. I think the most that they're doing is putting some verbiage on their website, and that's it. They're not sending out any notices. They're not, you know, and so it's
So
both.
it's going to take more of a grassroots
Right.
effort
So
to really get it out
If you go to the
there.
parole and probation offices, you'll see the vote signs that say, you know, come March 1st, you'll now be able to vote. So you're absolutely right. It's Vote and other organizations that are out on the ground informing people that they are now eligible.
And one step of the process, and that's the letter notification from the probation and parole to date. There still isn't even a form.
Yeah, so we'll have that information
You
on
know.
Friday. We'll specifically go through the steps
But
and
it has
like a
to be there
person
for the first.
would have to obtain information and how to go about registering. So that's what the Lunch and Learn is all about on Friday.
All right, now kind of like for a little less serious stuff. Well, it's serious, and it's dealing with our membership, and our leader development within the organization. I know, for one, I've been in organizations before, mostly prison organizations, and I don't like to be part of an organization where I can't actually contribute. You know, my talent or my skills or my voice, and it's all just kind of, we giving you information and you do with it what you want. No, this organization is about all of us collectively helping and learning and teaching and growing and doing what we need to do in order to bring about these necessary changes. Everybody in here has a different skill set, or they may have something that they're more focused on. Some people may be focused more on the policy aspect of vote. Some people may say, well, I don't want to participate in something that deep or that serious, but if you need me to phone bank or if you need me to canvas, I'll do that. So the member development is us trying to have everyone who is a member to be able to bring whatever skill or whatever it is that they want to contribute. Take, for instance, Ms. Julie, she likes to cook, so she prepared some jambalaya for us. And, you know, it's just everybody, I want everybody to know that your part in vote is very special. It could be very unique. If you want to teach something or share some type of information or knowledge that you have, we want you to be able to feel comfortable and say, hey, Consuelo, or hey, Kelly, I have a presentation that I would like to do for the group. And you'll be able to arrange that and set it up and make sure you have all the necessary materials that you need. If you need handouts or set up a PowerPoint presentation or whatever the case may be, as long as it's, you know, involved in something that VOTE focuses on, and we just welcome all of that and encourage it, you know, because I don't like to be a part of something if I'm just gonna sit there and listen and nothing else. I want to be able to be vocal, and I want you guys to feel comfortable being vocal and being part of, maybe Kelly is probably going to have a policy committee, you know, people that are helping her do what she does when it comes time to deal with the legislature and going in the Baton Rouge and making phone calls to our state representatives and things like that. And even with me helping with this, member development and getting everybody on the same page and getting people, you know, activated and doing things that you enjoy doing and making this organization what it needs to be here in Lafayette, because every chapter is different, you know, and in New Orleans, their chapter has been there for several years now, so their membership is huge. I look at their sign-in sheets and I'm like, y'all had 90-something people at your meeting. Are you serious? And I'm like, okay, well, we're babies. We're in the development stage. Baton Rouge, they have a good showing of membership too. And the thing that I noticed here in Lafayette, we have less formerly incarcerated people who are coming out to the meetings. We have mostly families of people who are currently or formerly incarcerated, or people who are interested in criminal justice and prison reform, just concerned citizens. And we want to be able to get the word out more and letting people know who we are and what we do. And by us having this membership, that's kind of like all of our parts as being a member, is to bring somebody with you, you know, tell a friend, you know, and say, hey, I'm going to a vote meeting. You're more than welcome to attend with me, you know, and they say, vote, what is vote? Okay, well, come to the meeting, and then you'll be able to see up close and personal what it is that we do. Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to target more formerly incarcerated people, have possessed people?
It would be good, but it's not my focus. It would be good to have a collection of, instead of just a couple of us. It would be good, not saying that the group that we have is a bad thing, because it's not.
You'd like more than
Yeah, I would like to see more. That's like, we haven't really been able to identify any formerly incarcerated person who this law fits. Not one person. And I know they're out here. I know somebody is out here. But
Most people, when they get parole or probation, it's under 5 years anyway. That's one of the reasons why it's hard to find someone that law fits. A lot of people that, like you say, are given longer than that, or it's usually lifelong parole. Probation, once again, is usually 4 years and under. It's hardly ever 5 years or more.
I think it's 3. I think
5 for the most for like very serious stuff, and 3 for
And the
3 or under
middle
for
is-
everything else.
I think they changed some laws for that a couple of years ago, saying unless it's a horrendous deal and they're still going to give them probation, it's got to be 3 or less.
Yeah. So, just getting people to
So
go.
that can only focus on voting, I do think that it's voice of these good formerly incarcerated. One thing I did not notice on here is the justice reinvestment package. Has any of that been trickled down to help formerly incarcerated for people rolling out and getting them. Maybe get somebody focusing on that too. So I really want to hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah, so at our last LPU meeting, John kind of went over that kind of stuff where the funding, you're talking about the funding, the dollar amounts, which they've accrued a significant amount of dollars just in the past year that the law's been in effect. But yes, those funding dollars are now in the process of being reallocated out into communities in like nonprofit organizations. So Lafayette actually falls in the second tier. Is it the second or third? They divided up the state into various different tiers. The first tier being areas where they have the most incarcerated individuals that are from, and where they'll be coming back when they do get released. So obviously your Jefferson Parish, your Orleans Parish, those areas, kind of like the southeast part of the state, is in tier 1. St. Tammany, I believe, is part of that. So you have they divided the parishes up into tiers. Lafayette falls in the second tier. They kind of are in, if they haven't ended it yet, they're finalizing on the first tier funding, and then they'll come down to the second tier, and then the third tier. I think there's 3 different tiers of how that funding is going to be allocated. And then of course there's a process. So if you had an organization or nonprofit and you were looking for grant money, it's distributed in the form of grant money. So you'd have to do a grant, write up a grant request to see if you can get in some of that money. But and then he also mentioned that there are also a lot of the money is, or a portion of the money is being used towards the justice center that's being built in Baton Rouge. I think there's one in New Orleans, and they're going to be focusing and building one in the Baton Rouge area, which is like basically a center where formerly incarcerated can go. And so they're focused on building that out, a complete center, as well as nonprofits and distributing that funding there. So that funding has been sort of kind of allocated in the process of being distributed.
I just want to see how it trickles down to actually formally incarcerated to get help to not.
It all depends on whether there is organizations in those areas that are applying for these grants. We were at a hearing a couple weeks ago in Baton Rouge talking specifically about that. There was a committee that they have committee meetings like maybe once a month or something where they actually talk about this justice reinvestment funding. And there were organizations that were there that had applied for grant monies that were awarded grant money. So they are distributing those monies out.
And I remember Goodwill was one in Shreveport, and another one was for single mothers.
So I guess the organizations have to be in those areas, and that's a big part. And Consuelo is actually part of a committee here in Lafayette for the city of Lafayette, the reentry, which I believe Judge Edwards is part of, which he has the reentry court, drug court. So he's definitely on a priority. With him being on that committee, that's Lafayette's definitely on a priority with getting some of that funding.
Yeah.
Like tell people that I know that have gotten out are struggling and they're getting out.
Yeah.
And that there's no resources, so we could go here, we could do this, it's hard enough to find.
I believe the parish jail under Garber, they're really
They're
big on
stepping up.
reentry stuff. So you might want to direct people, if they're looking for any kind of services or anything, to check with the facility over on Willow, because I believe that they.
Do they do stuff for people who aren't like currently incarcerated there? Though, because I know they have a lot of services for people. They have like basically, they have a reentry program for people that are doing DOC time. I don't know I legitimately do not know the extent to which they offer services to people once they've been released.
That's a good question.
I actually am not sure.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know I met this week with Judge Jules Edwards and the REC, Louisiana Reentry Coalition, the steering committee. And even one of the district managers from the Office of Probation and Parole was saying she wished that she had a list of places that she could send people who were just released from prison to be able to go to. And there was another guy from another organization, and his was, he wished that he had a list of employers who were felon friendly. So those are some of the things that they're looking into. And just the different organizations trying to make sure whatever services that you are going to be providing to people, not even just those who are out, but they're trying to catch them while they're in, like 3 years prior to being released. That's the goal here in Lafayette, is to catch them 3 years prior to release. And of course, they won't be able to do that with everybody, because some people get immediate releases, you know. So they're gonna try to catch people while they're in and give them some type of, you know, programming, some job skills. I know they have welding. They've been doing welding for like a year now. I think, and they were saying culinary arts. They're getting ready to start doing the culinary arts classes within the jail. And so it's a lot of things that have to go into the process that needs to be put together. And it is a lengthy process, but they're definitely trying to get all of these things done. So when the Department of Corrections says, okay, we're ready to start issuing this money out to these organizations to help, that I want to say Lafayette has about 18 different organizations dealing with housing, jobs, a little bit of everything.
Is there a list of those? Like, what do you think? Is it going to be possible to have the resources to tell formerly incarcerated people where they live?
I know there just isn't a solid list, because like I told them, I said, when I came home, had it not been for my family and friends, I would have been lost, because nobody said, here you go here for this, you look for a job, this is where you go, you need housing, this is where you go. There's no list in existence like that yet. And it is something that, you know, is needed, you know, and hopefully we'll be able to do that before the year is over and provide people coming home with that list of resources. So it's doable. It's doable. I had them on the table, the membership pledge. If you wanted to become a member of both, and it kind of gives you the criteria. We don't have membership dues. Like some organizations do have membership dues. Both decided against that. We don't want dues. All we're asking is that, for one, if you can, to be a registered voter, register to vote upon becoming eligible, attend a minimum of 4 vote events per year, this meeting, and any other meeting you've attended. I always have the sign-in sheets, and that's a way of me keeping record of that. Volunteer for 8 hours per year, so you have 365 days to volunteer 8 hours. Some of you will be phone banking, canvassing, maybe even, or just helping out. Might get here early and help set up a meeting, you know, something simple, and attend a vote orientation meeting. And all you have to do is fill that out and get that to me. I think most of you have already filled yours. Any questions about becoming a member? No. Okay, cool. And now, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Darren Broad. He's from New Orleans Watch.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Darren Browder. I am, I can stand up.
You can
Talk
sit,
better. I talk better standing up. slipping on my brain. I'm the Court Watch NOLA. My job is actually to take the Court Watch NOLA form and move it to other parishes so far. And actually, I've been out of state. We are in New Haven, Connecticut. Richmond, Virginia are the two that's up and running now. We are potentially going to be in Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Lafayette, St. Tammany, Atlanta, Georgia, and Haiti. Believe it or not. Yeah. What is Court Watch? Does anybody know what Court Watch is? You have an idea?
I have a vague idea.
Yeah.
Vague idea. Vague idea. Well, give me a vague idea of what you think Court Watch
The
is.
vague idea is that we basically participate or witness court proceedings to keep the administration of justice accountable and equal across different.
Pretty much. We're basically reforming the criminal justice system by having that collecting data that they don't collect. And then engaging the community or educating the community to be able to collect this data. A couple of you guys are coming down for a training. We've already trained some people from Baton Rouge. The training is basically a criminal procedure class in 2 days. Okay, so a year's worth of criminal justice class in law school in 2 days. I am one of the teachers, probably the main teacher of the criminal justice procedure part. Why do we do this? Because most people in the city or in the state have no idea what that process is about. You guys know that the state can hold people for 45 days, 60 days, and 120 days without having any formal charges against them. So you're sitting in jail because you cannot pay a bond, all right, for 40 days, 45 days, 60 days, or 120 days without a formal charge. It's just an accusation. Consuela hit me, I call the cops. Cops arrest me. That's how long the DA has to set a formal charge on me. Before I have a chance to say, see any evidence against me or plead not guilty, I can sit in jail that long.
Ridiculous.
Right. Most people don't know that. Once I teach that class, you know that and you know what to look for in that class. And you keep this data and you use this data to make sure that the court is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then local groups like us can take this data to the legislature and say this is way too long to have somebody sitting in jail who's not been formally charged. Because when you get out, I'm gonna get you with that. When you get out in 60 days or 45 days, what have you not been able to pay? Right, rent. If you have kids, yes. Most people have been deeply impacted to the point that they can recidivate because, or whatever the charge was, it could be anything. The fact of the matter is that you are put in a position that's even worse than the year before.
I can speak for this parish, St. Martin Parish, and Iberia Parish. A lot of people in there sitting in there just under what you're saying. And the sad part is they write their 701s, they write their habeas corpuses, and they never get answered.
Explain the 701.
701 is their right to a fair and speedy trial.
Yeah, that 45, 60 days, 120 days, it's Articles, Criminal Court Procedure 701. They have to do this by a certain day. If it's not done by a certain day, if your public defender files that 701 too early, what are they gonna do? Pull their phone out, text somebody at the DA's office who walks over an indictment or a bill of information and files it. In New Orleans, I know it happens in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so with the 701 stuff, the 15th JDC, which is Lafayette, Vermilion, and Acadia Parish, the second that you hit the 60 days, we file a writ of habeas corpus every week for every single one of our clients who's on there. I would not be surprised to hear that they don't do that in other parishes, like that they don't do that in the 16th, like St. Martin.
Well, they usually wait a couple days over or a day over because once they hit, if it's 60 days or 59 days and they file it, the DA, they'll just text someone to go file a bill of information.
So that, I mean, that's pretty much because, you know, the Supreme Court of Louisiana has said that if 60 days has occurred and you file the writ of habeas corpus, even if you've been in there for 60 days, you don't get immediately released. You get released when they have the hearing
Yes.
on the writ of habeas corpus, which gives the DA a couple days to decide to file charges. And so it has the effect of literally just charging someone. Like filing a writ of habeas corpus
Just
doesn't get someone
just
out.
walking over and filing it.
Yeah, in going down the elevator in the courthouse. The other thing I was going to say is, just like the public defender's office would love to help with court watch to the extent that we can, because there's a lot of stuff that that happens sort of behind closed doors. For instance, did you know it takes the DA's office a month and a half to receive police reports in almost every case, in almost every felony case?
Initial police reports or after it's,
Initial, they don't get files. So like, I'll get a client, I get appointed 72-hour hearings, I'll go talk to a DA. It'll be a month before they'll talk to me about the case because they don't have the reports from the police.
And the client can't get his discovery to figure out what he wants
well,
to.
so that's the thing. You don't get in, so pre-701, you're not entitled to discovery.
Exactly.
Right. And so someone just says you did something. You're sitting in jail on an accusation. And he said there's no police report there. So how can you argue, have a preliminary hearing? Well, in a preliminary, unless it's a warrant, you don't have a preliminary hearing. But what I'm saying is that there's so many things that people have no idea that inflates our incarceration rate because you have not only innocent people, people who are in jail on he said, or hearsay, she said.
Is this to raise the incarceration rate so that the state makes more money off of each inmate?
Well, the state's paying that money, but states have people who have parishes that count on this money to survive, right? I mean, right now, so basically like this. So the data that you collect can help the public defender's office. In Orleans Parish, 2 years ago or a year before, we found that the public defender's office could not viably defend all of their clients. They had too many people, okay? And with that data, we ended up getting, they ended up getting more funding. It just so happened some of that funding was taken away from the DA's office, who is now doing things that are just unconscionable because he doesn't have the funding he used to have. So ultimately, he's penalizing those who are incarcerated because he has no duty to rush that 701 period. He takes the entire time as much as he possibly can and it uses leverage. Because once he does indict them or files that bill of information, we've literally sat in court with court watchers and heard somebody say, hey, I've been in here for 57 days, I'm done. I'll plead to anything, just want to get out.
Right.
It's leverage.
In this state, before you are convicted, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, the police jury pays the tab on your housing in that parish or whatever parish they decide to house you in because they can't house you in their parish. So the police jury gets their money from the citizens of that parish on taxes. Once you become a DOC inmate or a federal inmate, then it's either the state or the country that pays for it. So it's a local tax thing and the police jury that decides how that goes. And it's the police jury that collaborates with your local district attorneys and stuff like that.
And to go back on his statement earlier, your allies in the system is the public defender's office. Why? When I go to a city or a parish, first person I want to meet with, public defender's office. Why? They have a long laundry list of problems, right? They are the ones who are affected by the disenfranchised because they are the shield of the disenfranchised, correct?
Right.
And so this dude right here is going to be your eyes, your ears, your brains of your court watch. So, meaning that when we go into a parish, we tally, we correct these questions, data we want to collect. We give it to the judges. We give it to the public defender. you get to the DA's office, of what questions you guys want us to collect. Because they don't, some of this data they don't even collect. How many African Americans get arrested for what crimes? What are the average bond amount for African American who has a weed charge versus a white person who has a weed charge, or a Hispanic person who has a weed charge? They have no idea. They have no idea in all these parishes that 84% of the people that get arrested that come in with formal charges have a public defender. I think it's higher than that. When I sit in court, 100% of the people that come through there are 100% of the public defender's clients. So we're basically teaching you to empower yourself and your community to protect those who can't speak for themselves. That's what Court Watch NOLA is. Actually, sorry, that's what Court Watch Lafayette is. Okay? Because what's going to happen is we're going to teach them how to teach you to do exactly what we're doing in New Orleans. All right? And what happens is the lawsuit against the magistrate commissioner who's setting these crazy bonds, who was the reason why I'm a lawyer today, who signed my letters to get into law school, who has not abided by the Constitution, has been sued with the data from Court Watch NOLA. So injustices can be corrected with empirical data. And that's why I'm here. And they're coming to New Orleans to be trained.
And this data is collected while you're sitting in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
So when's the training?
March 20th and 21st.
And you can bring them if you want to. It doesn't have to be just y'all. Although we have a special training for those who are training the trainers. So it's train the trainers. But we had a group of Baton Rouge, like 4 of them come in and we trained them. They're actually ready to go without a person to organize them. But yeah. So, any other questions that you?
Is Court Watch, is that a group all by itself? I mean, is that?
Court Watch NOLA is a group of well over 100, almost maybe 135 members. We've had over 1,000 courtroom settings where we've actually sat and watched court.
Y'all like a nonprofit?
We are definitely a nonprofit.
You have your own government?
Yes, we are a 501c3.
That's right. Good.
Yes.
And you guys have a Facebook page too.
Facebook page,
Website.
Twitter, website at courtwatchnola.org.
So how long is the training?
Our training is 2 days. It's basically 8 hours.
How much
It's
does it cost?
free. We feed you too.
Can we get it?
So it's just a night over staying.
Because what happens is though, the first day is going to be a classroom training
Where is it?
in New Orleans at Propeller 4035 Washington Avenue in New Orleans. It's our office basically. We give you,
Where in New Orleans is that?
right by Xavier, so that's kind of quasi-uptownish, right? It's actually down the street from Xavier, but it's a 4-hour class on criminal procedure. Like, it takes you from arrest to arraignment to trial and sentencing, okay? And then the next day, we get to go to court. You get a lanyard around your neck, you get a yellow clipboard, and you walk in court with your cell phones, unlike everybody else. And, because they don't allow cell phones in court. Please don't let it go off, because they will try to throw you in jail. Especially with that yellow lanyard on you, so they can say, oh, I threw a court watcher in jail. Now those 4 hours will be spent in court watching magistrate court, criminal court, and municipal court. So municipal court is our city court. Magistrate court is the bond setting court. So in Louisiana, in the first 48 hours, they have to do 3 things. They have to first find out if you can afford a lawyer or they'll appoint a lawyer. Second will be, once they appoint that lawyer, will be finding probable cause on the police report or the warrant, which is already a walking probable cause, and then setting bond. And then once that happens, you're done. You sit down and you move on. So there's that's magistrate court. He's his own judge. And then we have criminal court where you could watch arraignments, motion hearings, preliminary hearings, motions to quash, motions to suppress, you name it. We had a great preliminary hearing. I wish everybody could have heard last week. It was amazing. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad for the guy. he had a jail call that led the cops to where the gun is, that has a bottle on it, which he's in jail for. And his lawyer did not know until that preliminary hearing. Wow. Yeah, he basically told them, yo, I need you to get rid of that thing. It's somewhere down the street, blah, blah, blah. They went to go find the gun. JP had already picked the gun up. Did the forensic on it, and his girlfriend, who he said to have killed, that ballistics matched the slugs that was in her body. So, but they all don't end up like that. A lot of them, like you see, how bad the police work in New Orleans is. See, most of those preliminary hearings, you can see how bad the police work is in New Orleans. It's like, I don't really want to be a victim of crime because they won't find it. This is bad.
This is kind of off topic just a bit, but because I drive for Uber, this was really interesting to me. 2020 had a special on a guy that killed like 8 or 9 people. He was an Uber driver in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And his one ride, it started out, he called the cops to report this guy driving erratically. And after he did that, this Uber driver went through the city in the same day, alternating between killing people and picking up actual more riders for Uber. And they finally caught him, and he blamed it on the Uber app. Made him go crazy. But I mean, it was, when you said shoddy police work, I was like, I just couldn't believe how this guy's running around the city. You got murder after murder after murder, crime scene after crime scene, and you got all these cops going after this one person with one car, and you can't find him.
Yeah.
Weird.
Any other questions for me on how we can make this work in Lafayette? It's gonna happen. Either I'll lose my job or something. If I can't get this done in Lafayette,
Can you recombine like the 15 position that includes?
you tell me.
Parish?
So this is the thing. This is whatever Lafayette wants. Whatever the needs of Lafayette Parish are, you tell me, and we create it. I can't make it how it's done in New Orleans because New Orleans is totally different. It's not gonna be the same in Baton Rouge, St. Tammany. None of the parishes are the same. You guys may have
So this is
different.
set up in each individual parish? Or-
Yes, the ultimate goal is to have a state of Louisiana conference, all right? And if we get the biggest parishes with data on the state of the criminal justice system, do you think we could have a force of walking into a legislative hearing and saying, and they're starting to use our data now, okay? We've caught the DA who's arresting victims who are refusing to testify for one reason or another.
There was an armed robbery.
You people, and then someone to write in here. You know, because our DA was arresting victims, and one of the victims, who was a sexual assault case, spent more time in jail, the victim, than the defendant.